Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the On Deck podcast by Prospects Live. And I'm joined by Rhys White, the director of pro scouting at Prospects Live. And we're going to talk a little bit of playoff baseball. Rhys, how are you doing today?
As people are going to be listening to this, we will know what happens in the Tigers Guardians and all the game threes, but I'm very nervous. We are recording before the Tigers Guardians game. So yeah, I'm about as nervous as I've been for a Tigers game in a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely a big day for baseball fans all across the country. I mean, we have three game threes, Rhys. When was the last time that we had that many game threes in the wild card round? With obviously the new format, it changes things, but I feel like this is the most competitive wild card round we've had since this format began.
Yeah, we have a lot of teams that are just evenly matched, except for the one series that did not go to a game of three. That was about as the Dodgers tried to make it interesting for themselves, but yeah, I can't remember the last time we had three game threes.
Yeah, no, me neither. We will get to that Dodgers Reds series soon. We're going to kind of go game by game and recap all of the happenings in the wild card round and then maybe make some predictions before some of these other games get going here in about an hour as we're recording this at 11 a.m. Pacific time on a Thursday. Starting off with Tigers and Guardians, who are obviously tied at 1-1 now, Rhys, but maybe the most electric game thus far in the playoffs, the Tarek Skubal game. How cool was that watching? 14 strikeouts.
14 strikeouts, three walks over 7 and 2/3 innings. He was absolutely dominant. He did have a little bit of issues with a ball that was hit on the infield. It was also very interesting in that game how quickly the home plate umpire decided to call uh, Angel Martinez, if I remember correctly, out at home. He was very quick to do so, and it didn't. I didn't understand that call. Very quick and easy replay. Not the worst replay in the series, by the way. We'll talk about that when we get to that game. I'm still very tilted about it. What happened yesterday, but yeah, Tarek Skubal was absolutely dominant. I think it was like 26 or something swings and misses. We're talking about the best pitcher on the face of the planet. Also, ESPN really tried to like couch it. They're like, oh, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. He's the best left-handed starter. It's like, no, this guy's full stop the best pitcher in baseball, and he showed why.
I love Paul Skeens as much as the next guy, but Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball easily. And Tarek Skubal held it over to, or handed it over to Will Vest for the save. Was that who you were expecting to get the save in game one? Or was Kyle Finnegan kind of the thought there?
I thought it was going to be Kyle Finnegan, but it seemed like they made the right decision going to Vest. Vest fielded in a way that Tarek Skubal could not to get Jose Ramirez out. Jose Ramirez had one of the rare base running errors that I've ever seen from him. He should have just full sended right at that point, right to third base. You know, they kind of needed him to. So yeah, I was just surprised that they went with Vest there, but he is part of the guys that they want to use in the back end of the game. You know, I think Finnegan was fine in yesterday's game, and you know Melton was ultimately the reason they lost the game. So yeah, it's been fascinating. We will talk about game two, I promise. So, but Gavin Williams, you know, Terry Skubal gets all the credit. Gavin Williams also pitched his whatever expletive you want to include there off in that game because he was absolutely lights out. 6 innings, 5 hits. 2 runs that weren't earned, and then a walk and 8 strikeouts. That guy was absolutely dialed in. It was an ace off.
And this Cleveland bullpen, man, first 2 days, I mean, what, they've given up just a handful of hits in 2 games so far, no runs at all, only one earned run in the series. So moving over to game two, Rhys, the Casey Mize versus Tanner Bibby game, which is, you know, maybe not quite the star power we saw in game one. Obviously, Cleveland won that game yesterday 6-1. What did you kind of see when watching this game as you know, Tigers fan?
I thought that Melton kind of just left a couple pitches over the heart of the plate that he really couldn't get away with. Going to Melton there was a very interesting choice. I thought that they would have gone with Herder or, you know, maybe they would have brought Vest in because Vest, you know, it's all hands on deck at this point, right? Melton kind of lost the game for them. Mize was really good, by the way. He was, you know, 3 innings. He did exactly what they asked of him. You know, the splitter was looking really, really good. They got really lucky with Chase DeLauder botching his first play ever in Major League Baseball. He's also not a center fielder. And you can kind of tell by the way in which he's fielding out there. but it was not what you want to see. I really don't blame the pitching staff outside of Milton all that much. What really went wrong for the Tigers is that they only really like to hit A when there's two outs, and they love to get runners on. I believe there was like 15 or 16 runners left stranded. Cleveland's pitching staff did a fantastic job in that game. We saw Hunter Gaddis come out there, and he looked a little shaky. Gave up two hits in 2/3 of an inning, and then quickly was pulled. But we're talking about this bullpen that kind of came in, locked it down. Cade Smith was a little bit more hittable than we've seen maybe ever. So, what really sucks is that I think two of the worst position players on this team were the reason that they ended up winning. George Valera, who has some of the worst swings you'll ever see when you're not watching Javi Baez, and Brian Rocchio, who I thought was hurt in the first inning, but somehow managed to come back, committed another error too. Actually, I don't think they ended up scoring that one as an error, but misplayed another ball. So, yeah, we're talking about, we're in a do or die game. All hands are on deck except for Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize in about 20-ish minutes.
Yeah, I mean Javier Baez is the best hitter in this series, Rhys, so far. So
Who would have
watch your
thunk?
mouth, maybe.
Yeah, who would have thunk?
uh,
And then Kerry Bonds all of a sudden woke up and started hitting singles, so that was really good to see. I will say it was very fascinating what AJ Hinch decided to do. I know I'm not trying to get like super nitty gritty, maybe unless we want to. Him going to Jahmai Jones when he did was a very interesting decision because isn't the whole point of having Riley Green, one of the better power hitters in this series, maybe the second best power hitter in the series? Isn't he kind of who you want to be using? But it ultimately didn't end up mattering. Jahmai Jones struck out. So yeah, it was a very unfortunate series, but Dylan Dingler keeps walking, so that's good for him.
yeah, I mean, I can't tell you where this series is going to go. Obviously, I wish I could. One thing I do want to note is that Cleveland has used the majority of their leverage bullpen pieces in back-to-back days. The Tigers have not, which makes me interested to see how these bullpens are deployed and how good the Cleveland back end looks today for guys like Hunter Gaddis, even Eric Zabrowski. Cade Smith is obviously pitched in back-to-back days now. 3 days in a row is something that these guys have been exposed to this year, but they aren't necessarily used to, especially a guy like Cade Smith doing up and downs, pitching, 4 outs yesterday. So that's something that I want to keep an eye on when this game kicks off soon, is just what's going on with that Cleveland bullpen, and are there signs of maybe them being a little bit tired?
Yeah, and if I have to see Daniel Schneemann today, I'm going to lose my mind. He all of a sudden has become like the most important chess piece in this entire series. But I'm with you. I'm wondering how, because they've used Gaddis, they've used Cade Smith. Festa was warming up too, so maybe this is a Matt Festa sort of game. But I'm very interested to see how quickly they go. Both of these managers, and I think they're two of the best managers in the game right now. How quickly they pull the starters, because it's Slade Ciccone versus Jack Flaherty, and if Jack Flaherty shows any signs of, he's kind of like, he's not as extreme as Nick Pivetta, who we'll talk about in a minute. But you kind of have to have guys ready to go. And I wonder if we're going to see a lot of Tyler Holton, although he did pitch a lot yesterday, but he was fantastic. He came in, did exactly what you want, just throws a million different pitches, and he can just be used at any given point.
Let's move over to San Diego and Chicago, unless you have any lasting thoughts on Tigers Cleveland.
It's been a very frustrating series because of all the runners left on scoring position in game two. That game should not have been the Tigers should have
6-1.
had control of it. 6-1. Yeah, it really should have been like 4 or 5, 6-4, right? I'm not discrediting anything except for George Valera and Brian Rocchio. I cannot believe that those two are the ones that are actually doing something for this offense. But they have done a really good job of neutralizing Jose Ramirez. They're just not pitching to him, and why would you? Everyone else in this lineup is not up to the caliber and does not need to be feared the way that he is.
The Tigers need to be favored today with
Yeah.
the Cleveland bullpen point, with the starting pitcher favorability, and honestly, just with the lineup. I think the Tigers need to be favored. That is my prediction for Game 3. Rhys, our Padres gave us a little bit of a scare, man. Game 1, 3-1. Chicago Cubs ended up winning it. That was Nick Pivetta versus Matthew Boyd, and then it was the bullpen show, man. Both bullpens looked pretty lights out, but the difference ended up being in the starters, with Pivetta giving up 2 earned runs, and the Padres never being able to score more than one off of Matthew Boyd, who did not have his best stuff and got pulled at only 50-something pitches, 58 pitches. But then, man, that Chicago Cubs bullpen with Palencia, Pomeranz, Kittredge, and Brad Keller did not give up a hit for 4 2/3 innings. I don't know if you're watching game one or not. I was, and it's a good old fashioned bullpen off.
It was a good old-fashioned bullpen off, and Mason Miller, he's looking like, the best reliever in baseball. I mean, in the first game, he got all 3 of his outs by way of the strikeout, and then came out there and was pumping 104 on pitching on back-to-back days. That dude's an absolute animal, and the bullpen has been what the Padres need. Nick Pivetta gave up 2 runs. Luckily, it was just 2 solo shots, but if you're not going to be able to score more than 1 run, it doesn't really matter. That the Padres offense in the first game was really disappointing.
Padres offense had absolutely nothing going for them. Talking about the Cubs offense, I happen to follow a bunch of Cubs fans on Twitter for some reason.
I'm sorry.
And there's a growing majority who are extremely frustrated with the likes of PCA, Ian Happ, and Kyle Tucker, who haven't done much in a 2-game sample size, Rhys. Is a 2-game sample size enough to get mad at someone in the playoffs? Is that valid?
Fan is short for fanatic, so I'm not. You should see some of the tweets I don't send about Wenzel Perez. So yeah, I don't blame fans for getting really fired up. So, I mean, PCA hasn't done anything since the All-Star game. If we're going to be 100% honest, he's been one of the worst hitters in baseball. Who would have guessed that volatile approach would come back and haunt him? 2 strikeouts in game 2, absolutely nothing. He does lead the league in slamming his helmet down in the dugout, though. He's prolific at that. But and he's an absolutely amazing defensive center fielder. But yeah, the lineup in game 2 just had nothing going for it. I don't know what sort of they even tried to pull the Moises Ballesteros pinch hit lever. Nothing was working for them. Willie Castro has not been that great for them since the All-Star break or since the trade. Sorry, it's I don't know. This is going to be a really fascinating game 2 or game 3.
Yeah, so talking about game 2 is the Padres shutting out the Cubs and winning 3-0, 2 really kind of low scoring games as you expect in the playoffs. But Dylan Cease looked fantastic, Rhys, but pulled at 69 pitches. Do you think that is just the sheer strength of this bullpen being so damn good? Is why you can pull a guy like Dylan Cease at 69 pitches when he looked great, honestly?
He looked fantastic, and I was kind of shocked at the decision to go there. But this bullpen, man, Adrian Morion, Mason Miller, Robert Suarez, they had all the big boys firing, and Mason Miller was firing like nobody's business. 104. I don't know if you saw the 104 pitch. There's no better pitch I've ever seen in this season.
104.5. It might be the best pitch of all time.
Yeah,
dotted on the corner.
Dotted on the corner. That is some rock star level shit right there. So this bullpen has been everything that you want, and yeah, unfortunately the Cubs offense just decided to no-show. But you can understand why they decided to no-show with this absolute behemoth. Who do they have going for game 3? I don't remember.
The Cubs?
No, sorry, the Padres. That was a terrible question on my part.
I don't 100% know. Let's figure it out right now.
This is fantastic podcasting. I was typing.
I would assume
Michael
Darvish?
King, right? Oh, let's go on to Twitter.
King is in the bullpen according to Fangraphs, and Darvish is set to start today against the Cubs in maybe an opening type situation.
Yeah,
opening for Michael King. So there are no wrong answers because neither of us knew, and none of us would have said you Darvish over Michael King. Yeah. So, talking a little bit about this kind of bullpen, we talk about the bullpen nonstop, but I just mentioned with Cleveland how they've used both of their guys both days, and now we have that same conversation with the Padres, Rhys. Mason Miller throwing 5 outs. If you're Morejon going 2 1/3 innings, I mean, that is not something that you typically see from relievers. I know in the playoffs it's a little different, but even then, like 2 1/3 inning, you're going up and down twice in the dugout. And then Bob Suarez, going up and down as well for the 4-out save. How do we feel about this Padres bullpen going into day 3, seeing how much they threw yesterday? Do we need like a Michael King kind of masterclass here?
I think we need Yu Darvish goes 4, Michael King goes 3 or 4, and then hopefully you guys Estrada King pitch an inning or 2, because they're going to have a quick turnaround and play in the National League Division Series, so they do need to buy the bullpen a little bit of rest. Hopefully they get up big and maybe they can just have like a wear it, just have a guy just finish out the game. But I don't think that's going to happen because while we talk about this Padres bullpen, the Cubs bullpen. Sorry, I'm like really choking on my saliva right now. This Cubs bullpen has also been really good. Colin Ray was fantastic. Rogers was fantastic. Soroka was good. Outside of Imanaga, who is prone to give up a home run here and there, it's been a really, really good game for this Cubs bullpen as well.
Yeah, very fascinating to see the Andrew Kittredge opener in the playoffs, followed by the Shota Imanaga, who quite frankly just didn't look great. He just didn't look very good. I understand. I think that they made the right call having an opener, but also when your opener doesn't do the job and gives up a run in the first inning, I think that's kind of conducive of what the rest of the day might look like more often than not. Like, how often do you see an opener give up a run and you're just like, well, mission failed. Like, this is bad.
Exactly. I'm 100% with you. Once you see the opener give up a run, you're just like, well, now maybe they're hoping that they can get 2 innings out of him, and they were not able to.
Yeah, but the rest of that bullpen did look good, and they are pretty well rested because they were trailing pretty much the whole game. So that is something to keep an eye out for Rhys. Now, we're going to talk a little bit of Boston, New York Yankees. What have your thoughts been on the series so far there, Rhys?
So we had a good old fashioned Garrett Crochet ace off right there. Garrett Crochet was the second best, or maybe third best, depending on what you think of Gavin Williams. He was fantastic. And Aroldis Chapman coming into the game against his former team, one of his many former teams at this point. The guys played for a few different teams at this point. He has been fantastic. You have Yankees fans already Red Sox fans accusing Yankees of cheating. So that's good old fashioned rivalry baseball right there. And yeah, this bullpen has been really good for the Red Sox. I am really interested to see how Game 3 goes. Early versus Slittler. That is two rookies going head to head. I can't imagine they have a really long leash. I feel like this is one of those games where I talked about it in one of the previews. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the bullpens working in the first inning, right? Having guys just ready in case things go poorly, because you need to have in a do or die game, you cannot afford any sort of mishap.
But quite frankly, you have to give the edge to the Red Sox having a left-handed pitcher up after seeing what they did with Crochet against the Yankees, weak side platoon lineup without guys like Jazz Chisholm in the lineup, Reese. Is that kind of a fair thought for me to have that Connolly early somehow has the edge in a playoff game?
I think he does. I think that because, like you mentioned, the Red Sox are playing matchups. They've basically loaded up this bullpen and they've loaded up this rotation with left-handed starters because the Yankees cannot consistently hit them. And when you have a left-handed starter, you can pull Jazz Chisholm, who is maybe the third or fourth best hitter on this roster, and you're forcing him into a bench position where he doesn't want to be, and then you're using Ahmad Rosario more often. So it's a very fascinating chess move by Cora, who sometimes I wonder how is he an elite manager or is he just a really good manager? I think he's managing the series really, really well, going to a lot of lefties, basically pushing Jazz Chisholm to the bench. And yeah, I'm so fascinated by what's going on. And honestly, Anthony Volpe, he's been really, he had the home run in the first game. So, and I'm really fascinated to see how this game goes. Twitter is going to be absolutely electric when when this game kicks off tonight.
No, yeah, 100%. Connolly Early hasn't officially been announced as the starter. I'm wondering, Reese, and this is something I'm playing with in my mind right now, if an opener wouldn't be the right move for this game. Thinking about it, if you have an opener, the only problem is it depends where Jazz Chisholm is hitting in the lineup and guys like Trent Grisham as well. If you were able to have an opener go like 2 innings, which is where I wish they had a right-handed starter maybe available still, and then turn it over to Connolly Early to play the matchup games for a couple innings after that, you force the Yankees into starting their strong side lineup, and then you have your bulk go to guys like Connolly Early, Kyle Harrison, Peyton Tolley, Steven Matz, Justin Wilson, Aroldis Chapman. Does that not feel like the right move on a team that is so dominated by left-handed pitching in the Red Sox to start the game with a couple righties to force that lineup out?
I think that that's absolutely the right move. I think that I cannot think of a better move. I was just looking at MLB.com and they have Connolly Early listed to go. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some shenanigans going on there.
I wish that the Red Sox were as smart as we were, Reese. No, I'm joking. That's my pitching coach brain coming out right there.
Newly promoted pitching
talking
coach.
about game 2. The Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. Yankees won 4-3. That was a pretty crazy game. I mean, back and forth for those last couple innings, Reese. I was at practice watching it on the TV, and it was pretty cool. I mean, Anthony Volpe has really shown up this series, but talking about even like the Trevor Story kind of breakout there, and then Ben Rhys, man, has looked absolutely awesome. I guess in obviously the short sample. What were your thoughts yesterday on the Bayo versus Rodon? Both of them were fine. Bayo wasn't great.
pulling Bayo as quickly as they did, I think was a really, really smart move on the Red Sox part
Yeah.
because they realized this guy doesn't have it right now. And when you have such a volatile pitcher in Bayo, you cannot allow him to let you lose this game. They were very quick to go to the bullpen, which is a very smart move on their part. Totally finishing out this game was really interesting. I wonder if we see a lot of Toley. Maybe they use up all his innings that they have allotted for this postseason because he could be like a fascinating piece for them in Game 3. Bay of 28 pitches. That has to be one of the shortest starts that from a non-opener in a while. So I'm very fascinated to see what they did. Rodon, for all of his faults, perfectly fine 6 innings, 3-run ball. I don't think you can complain too much about it, especially considering what Rodon is capable of doing in a postseason game. And
Could have been way
it
worse.
could have been way worse. I'm 100% with you. We were like, what, 5 feet away from a Trevor Story
Yeah.
grand slam at one point. I forgot what inning that was in, but that could have, this,
7.
seventh. Yeah. So that was right when the bullpen came in. And Ben Rose, or however you want to say it in Spanish, he has been someone that you need to play at this point. He's one of the better power hitters in this lineup. I know Goldschmidt was good in Game 1. I think this is going to be the most fascinating Game 3.
This series is so awesome. I love playoff baseball. Let me just say
I
that.
love playoff rivalry baseball. Like
The
I
one
love it.
thing I'm like, Red Sox, man, without the starting pitching, especially the lack of right-handed starting pitching, like imagine the Red Sox advance, even just to the ALDS. So it's Garrett Crochet, it's Brian Bayo, it's Connolly Early, and it's Kyle Harrison because you're too scared to let Peyton Tolley start. Like Peyton Tolley should be pitching more than he has been, I would say. Only 0.1 innings, obviously, in the 2 games. It's clearly an innings thing, and they want to save him. So we're talking about Kyle Harrison starting a Game 4 next week, Rhys. That's not something you want to see in the playoffs.
That is absolutely nothing I want to see ever. Except for like if you're like a team like the Reds or something like that, who we won't see in the next series. So I just think relying on Kyle Harrison in anything more than a bulk inning role is kind of a interesting thing. Why you're a pitching coach, so maybe I'm better to ask you, why are they being so cautious with Tolley's innings? I know they probably had a plan for him, but at a certain point, it's the postseason. You kind of have to use your best arms, and there is not a world where Peyton Tolley is not one of their 5 or 6 best arms.
Yeah, it really boils down to think about where Peyton Tolley was just a year ago, Rhys.
He was a two-way guy.
College.
Yeah.
College, right? Like he was like barely a pitcher. Like he was a pitcher. He threw 81 innings his senior year at TCU.
Yeah.
But he was not like this well finished, completely, well crafted product. Early second round pick, and he's thrown over 100 innings in the
Yeah,
MLB this year over a longer season, going from pitching every once a week to pitching every 5 or 6 days. Now it's a little bit different, especially once you get to the MLB. That rotation schedule tends to be a lot harder for guys to make the adjustment, especially the year after they were in college. That's a lot of adjustments in 1 year. With that being said, be a dog. Just let him throw 20 more innings. I don't think the injury risk is as high as they might think.
Yeah, like what's the harm in him being a 5-inning starter, right? Just once or twice, because I don't think the Red Sox are going to go that much further unless they go on a miracle run. Then you worry about the innings at that point. But I don't think an extra 10 innings on the arm is going to do that much. But I could be wrong.
If you thought he was going to be so good, you should have delayed the start to a season or managed his innings early in the year. Obviously, they didn't think that he was going to be in the MLB this year, starting him in high A and whatnot. It's the same thing kind of with Trey Savage, right? Except he hasn't thrown quite as many, and he's a little bit more built up, is kind of the vibe we're getting from the Blue Jays. But yeah, I understand why they're doing it. It just sucks that it's happening at this time because he's absolutely electric.
Yeah, he is their second or third best left-handed pitcher just in general. Chapman coming in, closing out games. I think Tolley just needs to be used more. And, I'm not going to belabor this point. It's just, what is the harm in 10 extra innings, right? Like, I'm no expert, but I just think that you're in the postseason, innings limit should sort of come off. That's how the Nationals won that World Series. They were just like, you know what? We do not care. We are going to ride 5 pitchers, I think is what they basically threw the entire time, and ended up working. So the Red Sox kind of need to be a little less cautious.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Dodgers and Reds. Rhys, Dodgers obviously sweeping this series. Game 1, 10-5. The Dodgers bullpen tried to almost give it away at the end there. But we're talking about Hunter Green, who gave up 5 earned runs in 3 innings, Rhys. Talking about the Dodgers, they hit velocity really well. They hit fastballs really well. That Hunter Green matchup was never going to be great. But something I'm seeing a lot of right now is maybe all of the Reds pitchers were tipping their pitches this week. It seemed like almost all of them were picked from what I'm seeing on the internet. Uh, did you see that? And do you have any thoughts on
I
that,
didn't
Rhys?
see that going around. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked. Also, who would have guessed that Hunter Green's dead zone fastball would get destroyed by a team with Otani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, and Kike Hernandez, postseason hero? Who would have thunk? But man, let's talk about this Dodgers bullpen. This Dodgers bullpen is really trying their darndest on days where Roki Sasaki doesn't pitch to give these games away. Vesia cannot be used in any sort of leverage situation. We had a vintage Blake Snell sort of outing. Honestly, better than vintage Blake Snell.
It's the most innings he's ever pitched in the
Yeah,
playoffs, ever.
he
7.
and only one walk. That is the more fascinating part of this entire thing.
Insane.
Yeah, this is a dude who walks as much as he strikes out. It feels like. So I'm super. I knew this was going to be an absolutely crazy series for the Dodgers fans. I didn't realize it was going to be so much of them like worrying about this bullpen, but they were right. This bullpen has not been good until Roki Sasaki, postseason hero.
Blake Trinan and Roki Sasaki are the only guys in this bullpen I trust. Everyone was telling me Emma Sheehan was going to be like a playoff X factor and be one of the best guys on their team. He looked like dog yesterday. But so did the Reds in general. Losing game 2, 8-4. I don't have a whole lot to say about this series. I mean, the Reds hit the Dodgers pitching better than they should for a team that, people are saying should be, a World Series favorite in the Dodgers. I just don't know if the Dodgers are going to be able to hit enough to overcome these pitching worries. I'm not sold on their starting rotation, and it's one of the worst bullpens remaining in the playoffs after they have now advanced. I don't know how the Phillies don't beat them in a 5-game series.
I told you.
Rhys.
I think the Phillies are going to beat the brakes off of them. I don't think it's going to be that close of a series. Otani is not going to, he can single-handedly hit. Maybe Otani just needs to pitch for this team.
I think the Dodgers are going to have to win at least. Well, Otani is going to have to pitch. He's going to have to probably start or open at this point. But, I mean, the Dodgers have to win a game or two based on the offensive explosion, and one of their starting pitchers is going to have a good day and send it over to Trinan and Sasaki, and they can win a game or two. But 3 games, I just don't see it, and I especially don't see it in a 7-game series.
Sasaki's going to have to pitch. I mean, they have a lot of innings allotted for him. We talked about Peyton Tolley not having a lot of innings. Sasaki has some innings ready to go. So they're going to need to ride him like nobody's business. And is this where I tell everyone that Sal Stewart should have played more? Because Sal Stewart was like one of the only offensive performers for this team. McLean was dreadful. And he's been kind of dreadful for a while. So this is something that I'm just... Sal Stewart, man, I got to eat some crow. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've already signed up. I think I'm going to take his report in the off season. This way I can give a fair and honest assessment of him. And this lineup, this was the worst team that made the postseason, and they kind of showed.
Yeah, it makes sense. But Sal Stewart, redemption arc, man. He had a great September and a nice little start to his October in his career. I would say I've come around on him a little bit, but I still am like, we told everyone he's going to be a first baseman, right? We said he was going to be a first baseman. He's a first baseman. Like, it's very clear that is what he is, which does dampen the profile a little bit. Like, people do have to understand that. Any more wild card talk that we need to do?
Do we want to make some predictions for how these games go tonight?
Sure thing.
Although it's going to look bad because when people listen to this,
I think I'm going to post this episode like as soon as possible.
You're the best.
So on Thursday, people are going to hear
I'm
this.
going with the Tigers over the Guardians. I'm going to say it's a close. I'm going to give score predictions too. I'm going to give 3-2 Tigers, and Wenzel Perez actually does something for once in his life. I'm going to go with the Padres, obviously, because I have picked them to win the World Series over the Cubs. I'm going to go 4-2, and I think the Yankees and Red Sox is a 2-1 game with the. Ooh, who did I pick in that series? I don't even know. We're going to go with the Red Sox, though. 2-1 Red Sox.
I came into the playoffs thinking the Yankees are going to win that series. I have totally flipped, and I think the Red Sox. And we did talk about the Red Sox being kind of a sneaky-ish team with the best closer in baseball and fun lineup pieces and playing matchups or whatever. I would take the Red Sox. I have to ride with the Padres just because of we've staked a reputation on this one. And then Tigers over Guardians simply for vibes and the bullpen health at this point. But I just want to see the Padres win at this point. It's kind of
Me
where I'm
too. I
at,
want to
Reese.
see a vintage Yu Darvish, just masterclass today.
It would be awesome. Well, let's just end this episode here. Let's just do a super short episode, and you and me both have things to do. But we previewed, these Thursday games. We'll get this out right now, and then we'll see if we look stupid or not. And it sounds like we'll be back on Sunday for a live stream.
We'll be promoting that on socials here soon. So yeah, thank you to everyone. You can follow me on Twitter at Rhys White, where I'll be live tweeting the games. If Wenzel Perez does something, I might send an apology. So who knows?
I demand a Notes app apology if Wenzel Perez either has 2 hits or 1 extra base hit. I think that's enough to.
Yeah, he has to have 2 total bases,
demand.
not including walks.
Correct. Okay. All right.
Deal.
Please subscribe to Prospects Live for as little as $5 a month. And thank you so much for being here on this super short, weird little episode of On Deck. We're talking playoff baseball. But we will see you again shortly. Goodbye.